everyone. First, I would like to say thank you so much for having me here today. I feel very lucky to be able to be in this space with you all, so I really appreciate you having me. I would also like to say that I've had 1 hour of sleep and I've had the most intense week of my life, so we're all on a journey today together. All right. I would like to, I think, start by acknowledging the First Nations people of this land and them being the original storytellers of this land, and I'm very grateful to be here, and I'd also like to acknowledge my parents, and I have a friend who's an amazing human being and filmmaker, and she always would introduce herself like this. She would say, and I'll just copy her. I'm stealing from Katrina Graham here. My name is Shideh Faramand. I am the daughter of Badia and Behzad Faramand, the granddaughter of Malihe and Badiola Magzub Manavi, and Yahub and Tohere Gabai. And I would like to acknowledge everything they did to have me where I am today. So this word, kursu, a faint glimmer of hope, it's a beautiful, beautiful expression of this word that I have never heard of in my life. Yeah? You know, I know my Farsi isn't great, but I was like, I really haven't heard of kursu before. And then so I thought I would ask my parents, and I said, guys, you know, I'm doing this thing, this amazing thing, and I don't have any idea what kursu means. What does kursu mean? And they said, we have no idea. So I was like, well, you guys are Iranian, what's going on? And the reason why they don't know this word is because words evolve and they change, and they left over 40 years ago from Iran. So I guess, there we go, here's a start. So I will go into the fact that I didn't even get a chance to really sit with what it means to have a faint glimmer of hope, because truly it feels like for the last 5 or 6 years I've just been like just kind of keeping my head above water and just kind of thrashing underneath to keep going, right? So I didn't get to sit with this theme and think about all the, you know, soul touching ways and the poetry behind it. I was just like, I need to get through to the end of the week. For me, it isn't this poetic word or a phrase. I guess it's a practical way of living that's become the theme of my entire life. And I thought, well, this is really apt that, hey, hi, I'm doing this with you today, because it's really the word, I guess, that has, or the glimmer of hope that has been the way for my family and many other migrant and refugee families. So let's have a look here. My mother and father, here they are. How did we get here? Yeah, so I'm Shideh Faramand. I'm an Australian Iranian. I'm a writer, director, cultural, creative producer, actor, mother to 4 beautiful children. I'm, I guess you could say I'm a caterer, and I'm I'm a chauffeur, and, you know, a daughter, sister, rest goes on. But the world that I love working in is really directing and creating and collaborating, and it's community. And ultimately, for me, as a creative, it's really telling just good stories that move you, that are full of heart, that hopefully take you somewhere closer to joy and happiness, yeah? So here we are, my mum and dad. Yeah, let's go through a little slideshow. This is my mother, yeah? So how did we end up on this side of the world? We ended up here because my mum never wanted to raise her daughters or never wanted to have children. She always used to say, if I have daughters, I'm not raising them in Iran, because she really believed in the equality of men and women, and which is the one of the values of our religion, which is the Baha'i faith. And so for her, as soon as she got married, I'm speaking on her behalf, but really, she was like, let's go to this guy, let's get out here and let's go do some big adventures. Yeah? So that's her pregnant with me and not wanting to bring me up in Iran. This is a really important image, I think, and I'm sorry if I'm flip-flopping around the place, but I think it's really important because really, one decision, shaped my future, right? That could have been me growing up in a country where we all know, especially right now with what's happening in Iran in the last several years, and the suffering that the people are under, how lucky and fortunate that wasn't my journey, that I ended up here, but very well could not have been. So my family and myself were members of the Baha'i faith. I don't know if anyone has, put your hand up if you've heard of the Baha'i faith before. Yeah, so it's actually the second most widespread religion in the world, and it was, and it is, very much a peace-loving faith, which is about one God, equality of men and women, relinquishing prejudices of all kinds, and we believe in the religions that have come before and that we're all part of we're all one family. So it's very much the earth is but one country and mankind's its citizens. Yeah. So this was the faith that I grew up in. It was also a faith that, from the time of its inception, has been heavily persecuted. Yeah. So during the 1979 revolution, especially, a lot of Baha'is were persecuted, imprisoned, murdered for their faith, which was and is just believing in the oneness of mankind. Yeah. So for that reason, you will find the Baha'is are all around the world. My parents left before the revolution, but a lot of family members had to flee Iran during that time. So they had to leave behind a lot of things that came with that. They had to leave behind their community, their friends, their food, the good food, their language, and so they had to find that survival, right, to come to a new place. They went to Brazil. My sister was born there. They went to the States, and I was born in America. And then they took a big leap of faith. They had to find that next glimmer of light, that next step forward, which is where at the beginning, I forgot to mention that. Kam kam ruz beruz. It's little by little, day by day. Yeah, I love that. That mantra is so. It's so. What's the word, gang? What's what I'm trying to think of? Powerful. It's so. It leads the way in everything that I have, that I do, and I think that a lot of people go that way, little by little, day by day. So my parents moved to Australia, didn't have the safety net, but they wanted a better life for their children. Yeah, both my parents were university educated. My father studied agriculture. My mother was a pianist and music teacher, and poet, and my dad was a musician too. So that whole story, as we know about the doctors and the lawyers who come over and become the taxi drivers and the whatnots in a new country and have to start all over again, that was true for them. So here we are. We were one of the first Iranian or Middle Eastern families to settle here in Toowoomba many years ago. And as you can see, my sister was actually, from the Chronicle article, was the first Middle Eastern child to go to school in the Darling Downs. So I grew up in a very different time to what we're seeing today. Yeah. Growing up here was complex. It was very conservative. It still is, but back then it was extremely conservative. And also there was the backdrop of the revolution, the stigma about being Iranian, you know, we've just had hostages and we've got, you know, lots going on, right, in the 80s. And even though I was very young, so young, like, I mean, really, I'm giving away my age here, but not that I truly understood, but I felt it, yeah? I felt there was a difference, and I never quite fit in, yeah? I was never fully Australian, and I was never fully Iranian, because here I am with my little Aussie accent, yeah? So, oh, you're so cute, you're speaking with an accent, oh, she can't speak Farsi, you know, like there's that. And so then it's like, and then you go to school and it's like, da-da-da-da, no, you can't sit here. And you could see very clearly just the color of my skin was so different. Like Toowoomba was so different to what it is now, that my cousin, if I saw someone who looked remotely ethnic, you'd be like, oh my God, did you see that guy in Maya? He was so cute. Did you see the olive skin? Because it was that, you know, you were very different. And you really stood out. So they took an enormous leap of faith. We came to Toowoomba, very different. And I think this is the beginning of where, for me, my creativity, my way of understanding the world was through writing and through acting and performing and telling stories about being caught between two cultures and two worlds. And so that for me was its own journey. So now here we are. I'm sorry, I don't know where I've got. Okay, so here we are. My mum and dad, apart from being the first Iranian, you know, one of the first families here with my uncle and auntie. My grandmother's there, my auntie's here, you'll meet her, and my cousin, look how cute she is, sitting right there. First kebab shop, we had the first kebab shop in Toowoomba, yeah? And let me tell you, people did not know how to eat a kebab. Truly, my mum would have to go and tell them and explain to them, or get out, they'd start going with a knife and fork, and she'd have to give a whole speech to them about how you unwrap the paper and you eat the kebab. Like, this is, you know, so we had the kebab shop. We had the coffee shop and the plaza catering, right? And of course we had the carpet shop, the Persian carpet shop. So here they were, pivoting from one thing to the other, finding their little way through the world. And eventually from the carpet shop, there we go, lots of carpets, guys. These two went into property development, yeah? They created student accommodation. And I say that, I'm very proud of you. Oh, sorry, I'm crying, I'm such a mess. But I'm very proud of them, because they were at the forefront of creating something very unique and special in Australia. This wasn't done it wasn't a Toowoomba thing. They really led the way for accommodation in Australia. And what they wanted was for students not to just live into a rental, but to actually feel like they had a home when they came here. And so for them, it was really, again, taking what they could work with and then shaping it through their faith, yeah, through their lived experience. So anyway, I'm just really proud of these guys. And so this is us here, and let's keep going. Now here we go, where I'm like this young little kid. Here's my family. We're all together hanging out in Toowoomba. And look at me, aren't I cute? Look at that. I've got big dreams. Thanks, Sazim, thanks. I've got big dreams, everyone, because I'm going to be an actor, yeah? It's going to happen for me. I'm going to get my Oscar at the time, 21, I'm going to have my Oscar. And you know what's really interesting about that? There's no way. What are we watching? Home and Away, Neighbours, and there is no colour-blind casting. None of that is happening. And good luck to you. Here I am, little chubby ethnic kid who wants to be an actor, and then I would get, oh, well, like Kathy Bates, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Misery was really big that year. But apparently that was my only option, or go be a teacher. Okay, so then I had to kind of find my way forward through that. right? And I'll get to that in a moment. Again, are we all keeping up? I'm sorry if I'm jumping all over the place. How are we all going? So then, let me tell you what happens next, because a way of staying connected was, because we didn't have the internet. We had only each other. We had language, we had food, we had music, song to keep us connected. So we had lots of food, look at that food, and we had lots of house parties, yeah? This was a way for us to keep the culture alive. And our house was always just made up of getting together, singing, dancing, obviously dressing us up, and but that was just our daily life, and it was a way of us staying connected, because again we had this very small community here in Toowoomba. We also have lots of parties with lots of really interesting people who would come along. So now I went forward. How am I going with time? Are we doing all right for time? Okay. So I didn't get into the first university, so I wanted to be an actor. I didn't get into the first university I applied for. I did, however, eventually get into the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. Yeah, I was there. I was on my way to New York, and then 9/11 happened. I was not there. I was here, back in Toowoomba, and I went to university at the University of Southern Queensland, and I studied acting. And it was the best thing that I ever did. I made amazing friends. I got to spend precious time with my grandmother, who passed away shortly after. And yeah, so going back, because from that I had to find a way of how was I going to enter an industry that couldn't see me. I had to create my own path. I made my short films, and I was like, I'm never going to be a lead in a feature film. I've got to write my own. And so that's kind of where I moved towards. So yeah, here we are. We had lots of ordinary moments, but they weren't really ordinary. And we had lots of, here's Clive Berghofer, just hanging out, having a dance, just hanging out with the family. There's Nellie Robinson, chatting to my sister. Good old R.M. Williams and Mum. Like you'd go home for dinner and Ujuru Nunokal was over for dinner. I'm like, what is going on? But this was just who they were. They just, people were drawn to them, and they were drawn to people, and I had a very lucky childhood to be experiencing all people from all walks of life. So I started with A Reluctant Bride, which was a short film, and I moved into I Love You, I Miss You, I Kiss You, which is based on my childhood growing up. And I'm going to show you a little bit about that in a moment. And so every step of the way, when things didn't work out, I had to pivot and find a new way forward. I married, I had 4 children. Again, motherhood, which is very dark. Tell me how many minutes I have, honestly, because I will just keep talking. Yeah, tell me, am I wrapping it up right now? Okay. I had 4 children, and again, had to find my way through motherhood. So, my daughter, I just want to wrap it up on this. My daughter, I might not have had those opportunities. This last year I got to direct her in Pride and Prejudice, and here she was playing the lead of Elizabeth Bennet. And it was such a profound moment for me that I was like, wow, all of these sacrifices that not myself, but lots of people have made along the way so that she can just go and play the lead and not really understand the significance of that. So we're going to look at this little pitch that I've done for my feature film, and just to show you how I've been able to tie in my lived experience with my art, I guess.
The year was 1979. My Sharona by the Knack was number 1 on the charts. Prisoner debuted on Channel O. Margaret Thatcher became the first female Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and some 90 people were taken hostage at the American Embassy in Tehran. It was the beginning of the revolution. And for a baby girl who was destined to be born in the Islamic Republic of Iran, life took her someplace else. Hello, my name is Shideh Faramand, and I'm the writer-director of the feature film I Love You, I Miss You, I Kiss You. Loosely based on the experiences of my life and the women in my family, I Love You, I Miss You, I Kiss You follows the journey of Shideh, a first-generation Australian Iranian of the Baha'i faith. Defiantly single and on the wrong side of 30, Shideh is torn between her acting ambition and a chance at love, all while trying to untangle herself from her preconceived notions of her family's traditional expectations for her future.
Be fooled by these cute little friendly-faced hospitable Persian women. It's all part of their plan of attack.
With all the trappings of a romantic comedy, I Love You, I Miss You, I Kiss You is so much more. It looks deeper into the love and wisdom that binds 3 generations of women. It introduces the audience to a Baha'i family who flee persecution after the revolution in Iran, which has never been portrayed in a feature film today. And it is only when Shideh looks deeper into her grandmother's past that she begins to understand the true sacrifices and choices her mother made for her and her sisters to have freedom to make choices on their own terms. And now, more than ever before, is the time for this film to come to life. Zan, Zendagi, Azadi.
I just wanted to end with one last thing. It's a poem from a book called Prison Poems by Maravash Sobet, who was a Baha'i, a member of the Baha'i faith in Iran, who was taken and not given a fair trial and imprisoned in one of the worst prisons in Iran. And she found a way to hide her poetry and sneak it out. And eventually she was freed. And I just thought it really spoke to our theme for today. And I've asked my auntie, Frazaneh, if she could also come up. So I will read it in English and then she will read it in Farsi to end with. And it's just it just reminds me so much of what's happening at the moment in Iran. Hopefully we'll see some positive changes there. So it's called Not Too Far Off. Though they still lie smothered, still lie wrapped in cobwebs, still slumbering the night out, these souls yearn for the sun. Their hearts cry out for the daylight, even as they rage against the blackout, longing for the warmth of a glance, for the brightness of a bending gaze, for the balm of healing hands after lights out. The day will come when the young among them will flee from this jungle darkness and will run out to embrace the sun. That day is not too far off.
هرچند هنوز ساکتند، هنوز در تارهای عنکبوت پیچیده اند، هنوز در خواب سنگین شب به سر میبرند، این جانها مشتاق رسیدن به خورشیدند. دلهایشان برای روشنی روز فریاد میزند. آنها در برابر تاریکی اعتراض دارند. در آرزوی لمس گرما یک لحظه، یک کورسوی آن. در تمنای دیدن نوری از تلألؤ درخشندگی، در طلب ترحم از دستان شفابخش پس از تاریکی محض. روزی خواهد آمد که جوانان از بین آنان از این جنگل تاریک خواهند گریخت، به سوی خورشید خواهند دوید تا آن را در آغوش بگیرند. آن روز چندان دور نیست، آن روز چندان دور نیست.
Thank you so much.